Welcome, everybody, to the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel. My name is Ross Benjamin. I'm your host. And like every Tuesday, it is a Tuesday, and it's November the 7th. I am joined by my cohorts in crime here, I guess you can call it, Mr. Jesse Schule and Sean Higgs, all three of us of GamblersWorld.net. Gamblers World is our sponsor, folks. So you want to visit GamblersWorld.net. There's 10 great handicappers at that site, including us three. And then you can go to gamblersworld.com where you can see many sports betting videos as well. And don't forget, if you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, take a second to do so. While you're before you get going here, you'll see a WC logo in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you're watching on your PC, you'll see a black subscribe button on the bottom of your screen. There, if you're watching on your mobile device or your smart TV, it's absolutely free to subscribe. There's no cost, there's no hidden agenda, and take a couple seconds more, not only if you're a new subscriber, but if you are a subscriber and you haven't done this already, go into your YouTube settings, hit that alert notification bell for the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Channel, and you'll be notified immediately upon us publishing any of our great podcasts, which is 6 times a week on our great channel here. So thank you for that, folks. Anyway, Sean, how are you, my friend?
All right. Not too bad. End out like splitting for the weekend in NFL. Loser with the Jets last night. It's all right. Still doing pretty good season-wise. College basketball, rocky start. I had a couple losers yesterday. And again, even the winners, close. I think it's going to be if day one is any indication, it's going to be if I didn't have hair, like from shaving it off, I'll be pulling out my eyebrows because like over UConn 140, San Diego, North Dakota State -3.5. I mean, they all get there by like a point, but then I'm losing Lehigh by a point. You know, it's just here we go right out of the gate. Close games for me already, and whatever. I got a couple up for today too. We got 1, 2, 3. We got 5 games for college hoops today, so I'm excited for college basketball. Obviously, you want to cash everyone, but it is what it is. I'm not ready. I've been cashing well. Have had a nice October, so I don't want to come into like 1-point wins and stressful half pointers already. I'm like, come on, but
how about Michigan State, the number 4 ranked team in the country in the preseason poll, losing in overtime at home to James Madison last night?
I didn't have that one.
We saw a couple Division II and Division III teams knock off, Division I teams. I mean, Mercer comes to mind. They lost, I think, to Clark University out of Atlanta, which is a Division III school, I believe. And then also we saw South Alabama go down to a college called Mobile. I'm assuming that's in Alabama. Was that your alma mater, Jesse? No, that's right. You went to You went to Saskatchewan.
UCLA, Ross.
You went to UCLA?
Well, corner of Lexington Avenue.
Okay, Joe D'Amico. And you got any other fabulous records you want to share with us too? Anyway,
Jesse, well, what Sean was describing about sweating out close games and winning by 1 point, I'll tell you, I could have used that on Saturday because all the games decided by 1 point were going against me. Fortunate for you guys, because otherwise you probably would have seen me on Twitter twisting away. But I was pretty quiet. I was humbled on Saturday. Came back and swept with NFL on Sunday, and thankfully so, because I absolutely needed to do it. And I'm still fairly humble coming into Tuesday's action, but I got off to a winning start with college hoops. Just one game, had UCLA. They won fairly easily. And looking forward to more college football action, even though last week was pretty tough for me.
Yeah, but you were right on the show. We had a little bit of debate going back and forth. Me and Sean, we liked LSU against Alabama, and I even used them on my premium card. And lo and behold, Jesse was steadfast that we were wrong, and he was right. So take one of those stars out of that bag that I sent you and Paste it.
You
to
know,
your
I
forehead.
watched the show yesterday with you and Doug, and I think you misquoted me on the show, Ross. You said that I was comparing Jalen Milroe to future NFL quarterbacks, and I was clear in my comparison between the first 8 starts for Milroe and Jalen Daniels that this wasn't to suggest that Milroe is equal to Daniels, but only to suggest that he has the potential to be a lot better than what he has been. And he was, I think, almost a word for word quote, due for a breakout game, which happened to be quite prophetic.
Well, if you said I said that, then I believe you. I thought what I was trying to say was we entered a discussion and you were high on Milroe, and I made the comparison of former Alabama quarterbacks. But if indeed I said that, that was a misquote because that's not what you were implying. That was my implication that, and again, Milroe, look, I'll agree right now at this point. Okay. I'm not afraid to say when I'm wrong. And I was wrong on that game, even though I thought that our chances were diminished, Sean, when Jaden Daniels went down on that cheap shot with a concussion early in the fourth quarter. That about squelched any chance we had of coming back in that game. Otherwise, I mean, that was a game that LSU was winning by 7 early in the third quarter. But Milroe really showed me something. Tremendous with his legs. He throws a nice deep ball. But again, I mean, I think I mistakenly omitted former Alabama quarterbacks. I omitted Bryce Young. And he reminds me of Bryce Young more than he reminds me of Mac Jones or Tua or Jalen Hurts. So we'll see. I mean, he's still young.
I'm not particularly high on Milroe. I just think that he's, the word on Milroe a couple weeks ago was he's a bum. Alabama can't win with him. And I was just trying to make a case for, he's might not be Bryce Young or Tua Tagovailoa, but he's closer to that than what people want to admit. Is what my point was.
And I think we could all agree that since the time he got benched early in the year, not only benched, but they played the second and third string quarterback before him in the one game. Since he's come back and taken over the starting reins once again, he's been an extremely improved quarterback and against some really good competition to boot. So we'll see how that develops going forward. The other game, Sean, we were mentioning, and I know you got down early on this game, was Texas A&M and Ole Miss. Jesse was on. He liked Ole Miss. We liked the other side. It fell as a 3-point game. Ole Miss scores a late touchdown to win that game by 3. Not a lot to brag about for any of us in that particular fashion because it fell right around a number. But I got to tell you guys, I don't know. I know, Sean, you don't always have the opportunity and time because you do so many podcasts yourself to look at the comment section and comment on it. But there was a guy named Rebel that said that
I sent that to Sean.
Yeah. This guy said that Jesse's the most intelligent guy on earth because he took Mississippi. And then he went on to
Ross,
tell me. You go ahead.
I copied that. I screenshotted it with that part where he said Jesse's the most intelligent. Screenshotted it and sent it on Twitter to Sean for him to read. And Sean's comment was, "Well, it says Rebel in his name."
Yeah. Well, not only that,
Mississippi
Sean,
alum.
This guy tells me, he called me, first of all, he called me a genius. He goes, Mr. Genius and pro betting expert, something along those lines. And I'm paraphrasing. Everybody knows that line moved from 4.5 to 3 because it's all oil money.
Yes. So, well, I had 5, 4.5, and 4, so I was a winner across the board. I mean, I got it. If you think, and it's sometimes people are like, and I was having a conversation with another site person, and they're like, well, I don't know why I have to put these games out a couple days ahead of time like this. Well, there's a prime example why I put a game out at 5, 4.5, because why would I want a 2.5 when I could get a 4.5 and it's a win? Or why would I want the Cowboys -10 instead of -16? I don't know. Call me crazy. You do not have to wait till an hour before kickoff and Lee Corso to put a little hat on to tell you who to bet on. Come on, folks. Stop it. Get a good number.
I'm a 24 to 48 hours before in football. I know that you and Jesse, you especially, get down real early, and Jesse earlier than I do. And you guys are quite good at it. I just never, I never subscribed to that. And I'm not saying the way to do that, the way you guys are doing it, is wrong. It's
But even
very
like on an
astute.
overnight though, like today in college
Yeah.
hoops, Cal Irvine was a pick'em. Yeah, now they're minus
Yeah.
4.
Yep.
Why are you
Well,
waiting
you see
for
a lot. You see a lot of that in college basketball. Drastic moves in college basketball compared to college football are plentiful. I mean, that's goes without saying. And those moves happen. It's not like college football where they put out a line on Sunday night, and then by Thursday it's moved 2 or 3 points. College basketball, it's an overnight line that comes out maybe at 4 p.m. Eastern time the day before, and within a 24-hour period, it moves 3 or 4 points. So, even more so, Sean getting down early on these college basketball games. He's very astute at doing it, and so is Jesse. I just never was good at getting down too early. I shouldn't say never is good. I'm not comfortable. Let's put it that way. And I've found more success in the way I do it now. But we all have our methods, right, Jesse?
exactly.
Well, Ross, I got in late. I put out my Saturday plays on Friday night this week, and it's fair to say that didn't work out for me. So
Yeah.
I think that I see better results the earlier I am with my getting the picks out. It's an indication that you're seeing the board better. You're more you have to be fairly confident to bet on Saturday games the Sunday before. And unfortunately, the last few weeks I haven't been there. I was there at the beginning of the season. I'll get back to that, but I think that is part of my recipe for success for me to be the best handicapper I can be. The earlier I get the games up, the better for me.
Yeah, in the thing, and Jesse, I'll ask you both, you too, Sean. I would say that if you're doing that you're fairly confident and you've seen results over years, not just months, not just weeks, but over years, where the majority of the time when you do get down early, you're ahead of the line move to your favor. Is that correct?
A high percentage of the time. Let's give it 70, 80%, maybe even higher. I don't know, Sean. What would you put your percentage at being on the right side of the line movement?
I see, like I write them all down, right? Doesn't mean you bet them all, but I'm with you. It's got to be 70+%, I'd say.
Yeah,
again,
I mean, if you guys
am I moving on all those games? No, but that's why that gives you confidence to bet on a Saturday, Sunday ahead of the next week's NFL games or college football on a Sunday,
right?
Because of
that's what I'm
what I'm pretty good at seeing the future, reading the tea leaves, or however you want to put it in my predictions or thought process, however you want to word it. So I don't mind saying, okay, well, I'll take these 5 games early today because I've proven I could hit these. I don't know. There's not really much to say, right, Jess?
Well, there are those that will thumb their nose at closing line value and say, well, I had closing line value. I lost anyway. I'll tell you what, I lost this Saturday. I didn't have any closing line value, and it felt like I was practically, I can't say the R word, but I felt stupid, okay? Had I have had closing line value in all those plays, I would be content and confident that I'll ride it out that way, continue to give me closing line value. I'll ride it out until it winds up in my favor, and I'm confident it'll end up that way.
Yeah.
But plus, I didn't have that this week. So,
and I've lost when I've had good lines. Okay, it's fine, but
it's not a guarantee, even if you're on the right side of the move.
That makes me feel like I'm ahead of what everybody's thinking anyway. Yeah. So I was, I'm not waiting.
It's not a guarantee in a small sample size, but I think it is a guarantee over 1,000 games, or over 1,000 games. If you got closing line value, if you haven't made a profit and you've got closing line value in 1,000 games, something's wrong.
But also, that's why the people are like, "Oh, who cares about the closing line value?" But well, you don't look at it long term.
What I was implying, Jesse, was just you're not going to be right every time, even though you have that. Now, when you say guarantees, I can give you a 73% NFL betting angle that dates back to 1983. And like Chip will say, 27% of the time you're wrong, Ross. So, it same applies here. If you're saying that when you're ahead of the line move 70 to 80% of the time. And by doing that over 1,000 picks, you're even at 56%. You're doing something right. That also means 44% of the time it didn't work out. But it's not about there's nothing foolproof here, folks, is what I'm trying to say. We work with percentages and probability.
I think closing line value is foolproof, though. I think it's just a matter of how big the sample size you want to get.
I had the Falcons in a pick 'em. They closed at -5. Loser.
Yeah.
The week before, I had New England +13, closed at +9. Loser. Bears +10, went down to 7. Loser. Doesn't mean you win, but again, I don't worry about one game because I know I'm going to have 200 other games over the course of the football season or basketball or whatever the case may be.
And over a large enough sample size, if you're getting 2 or 3 points better line on every game.
Yes.
I mean, you look at all the numbers, and the entire odds board is designed to have people hit 50% of their games, and most people come within a few percentage points of 50%, either 45 to 50, between that 45 to 55.
Yeah.
So if you're always getting 2 or 3 points, and you're a guy that usually hits 50%, that's going to boost you up to 55%. All of a sudden, you're going to be winning just because you're getting a couple points on every game.
So I'm really careful about using foolproof. Okay, when you say, yeah, it is foolproof, the closing line, Jesse. Foolproof. A lot of people, when you say foolproof, means 100% of the time you're right. That's not. I'm assuming that's not what you're implying. Foolproof to me.
Absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
Foolproof.
Okay.
I'm just saying
over a course of months and seasons and years.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though, with that is people will be like, no, it doesn't work because they don't. Number one, they don't have the bankroll. They don't have the bankroll to do it. They don't have the patience to do it. They're too worried about seeing some guy's 9-legger come in for $20 for $5, for 5,000. Thinking they don't want to go 3-2 every day for a season and hit 60% over 100 games. That's to them is ludicrous. They want 5-0 every night with max unit will, goat plays, or whatever kind of crap they're pitching on TikTok. They can't see the forest from the trees. That's what separates winners from losers.
It's a grind, folks, and the longer you do this, the more you realize it, the better you become at money management. Sean just said they don't want to go 3-2 every day. They don't want to go 55 and 45 every 100 picks either. To them, that's baloney.
That's bad. That's bad. No, that's badass.
Yeah, and I will tell you that
54%. I'll take it.
It's a proven fact that less than 1% of people who bet on sports on a daily basis over a 365-day period, less than 1% make a profit, and a lot of that is attributed to the 2 points that Jesse and Sean just brought up about spotting early value, being ahead of a line move, and like Sean said, some people just are impatient. And folks, for everyone, and Sean has mentioned this a couple times now, and it's worth discussing, and it's a very good point. Every time you see one of these things on a gambling chat room or a gambling Twitter feed that says he only needs one game, he only needs USC +3 for a teamer for $5 that will make him an absorbent amount of money. For every one of those you see, they're not showing you and I'll go out on a limb to say the million that fail miserably. Or
a good example of that, Ross, is Mattress Mac. When he throws $1 million on the Astros and wins, everybody they say every news channel has Mattress Mac won $5 million or $10 million on the Astros, but they don't say his career record and all the bets on the NFL and the Super Bowl. If you add it all up, he's a losing bettor in his career.
But
they only talk about the ones he wins.
Stop and think about this. If you put $1 million of advertising into a newspaper or a digital media source and or a TV show that's
he's winning either way. He's winning either way. He's a genius, actually. But
he's getting more. It's a marketing ploy to me. You know what I mean? If
but
he wins,
all the more reason why people shouldn't get excited about and try and follow his his
They
picks
love him.
because
They love him down here, though. He does. I mean, let's be honest. It's a promo for his thing, right?
It's
It's offsetting insurance
Yeah,
and whatever. I mean,
it's $1 million worth of advertising, and it's the only type of advertising you may get a return. You know what I mean? So, I mean, well, I shouldn't say that because advertising is designed to get a return.
but that's a good
You're
return.
getting
I
a
mean, that's all
return
over. That's on.
whether you win or lose, right? That's where I'm.
Did
going.
he have the Astros again this year?
I believe he
Believe
did,
so.
didn't he, Sean? Yeah,
I'm sure he
yeah, I
probably
thought
put some
so.
kind of.
All right, we got
think
some
there'd be
games.
no reason why
I
he
don't
wouldn't.
know. Maybe not until they got to the World Series. I think he goes in because that's where he needs the hedge because they have to win it all for you to get
All
your
right.
free furniture.
Let's get into our games here because we're 20 minutes into the show, and I'm sure that some people
Well,
are
I want to come in
hemming and
here
hawing because they don't want to learn
free pick.
anything. They just want, give me the free pick, and I don't even care about your analysis. Write it down, and if you lose, I'm going to MF you all week long. Anyway, Jesse is going to be looking at Ole Miss and Georgia. Right now, Georgia's an 11-point favorite, and the total is 59, Jesse.
Well, I did give out Ole Miss in their win over Texas A&M. The line for the show was 3 at the time. There was probably some 2.5s and 3.5s available. So you could have either pushed or won with either side. So whatever the result was on that one. But I was impressed with I mean, the game really was close at the end, but in the beginning of that game, Mississippi looked pretty solid as a home favorite. Georgia's coming off that sort of lackluster win over Missouri, if you want to call it that. They didn't cover, won by 9 points. In fact, if you look inside the numbers in that game, the difference was poor play by Brady Cook, the Missouri quarterback, 212 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, only 14 of 30 passing. Missouri turned the ball over 2 times. If not for those turnovers, and if a little bit better by Cook, and Missouri should have been right in that game. And that was the 3rd time this season we've seen Georgia in a game, in a battle that they weren't figuring to be in, or the bookmakers weren't figuring them to be in. They had a close game against South Carolina at home and a close game at Auburn. Now, Mississippi is the highest ranked team they're going to face so far. They do have Tennessee on deck. Maybe a little bit, we can't really call it a look ahead because 2 big games, but they do have to think about Tennessee on deck. Georgia's sort of in a spot of complacency. They've been they've been in cruise control. Now they don't have Brock Bowers. They're still pretty good. They deserve to be a favorite. They probably deserve to be a double-digit favorite, but they could get caught napping here. There is a key injury on the Georgia defense. Linebacker Dumas Johnson, who leads the team in sacks, is out indefinitely with a forearm injury. Between that injury, the Brock Bowers injury, how well Mississippi's been playing lately, and the fact that I can get 11 points here, and the fact that it's just a bigger game for Mississippi. They're still, I know people probably think they're not alive in the playoff race, but I believe they're still alive in the play. If they win this game, they're still not going to go to the SEC championship game, but they'd be a 1-loss SEC team, and we've seen 1-loss SEC teams make the playoffs in the past. So I'm going to take the 11 points with Mississippi.
All right, so Jesse likes Mississippi plus the 11 at Georgia. Yeah, I mean, how could anybody rule them out if they went out? And also, if they went out, their only loss was to Alabama, who the last I checked only lost 1 time, and they're ranked ahead of them. And they would have a win over Georgia on their resume. So absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it that they would definitely be in strong consideration if they went out and finished 11-1, even without going to the SEC title game. Sean, your take on this contest?
Well, we keep bringing up that Alabama game, and why wouldn't you? They lose 24-10 on the road. Here's another road spot for them. Again, you're getting a good chunk of points here. I don't know if I could believe in them, though. I mean, I think Georgia's defense is a little better than Alabama's defense, and yet Alabama came out and took control in the second half there. And I know I would lean Georgia. I don't have anything in this game. It's just I can't have faith in Ole Miss here on the road. I mean, the one really good team they played, they lost. That's it.
And Jesse,
how is it? How have these guys not played in 7 years? So the last time they played were 2016.
Yeah, it's
how's that possible?
Schedule. Because they're in different.
I will point out though, they were only getting 6.5 at Alabama, and that's a significant difference getting 11 at Georgia.
Well, Georgia's better than Alabama too, though.
Yeah.
I mean,
and Georgia, you mentioned Georgia having Tennessee up next. You can make a strong case that's more of a rivalry game for Georgia than Mississippi. However, I mean,
let's also go into the fact, the Alabama line.
You want me to finish this point, or you want to?
No, I don't want you to finish this point. Finish my point. They had lost to Texas, and they played that 17-3 game to South Florida. So that's why the line's low, because they look like they're terrible, right? They almost lost to South Florida. Why is this? That line was a 12 on an opener, by the way. That UMass.
Sean, I'd love to get deeper into this on Saturday morning if you're available.
You know what? I might not even be here Friday. I have people flying in on Wednesday night, so I don't know if I have to cut my wife around.
Sean's got a dilemma today every day, Jesse. You know that.
I didn't know I was going to do my show this weekend. I don't know if I'm doing.
Before we came on the air, folks, he was complaining about having to pay a water bill.
$300, bro.
I complain about. I don't have a problem paying a water bill. I do have a problem paying $2.50 for a bottle of water to drink.
$2.65 for a water bill. What's your water bill, Ross?
My water bill? Oh, it's nowhere near that.
Exactly. So I was like, why is it so high?
Yeah.
Hey, Ross, you're not getting any bottles of water for $2.50 in Las Vegas.
No, I know that. I'm just going, throwing that out there for fodder. But what I was about to say before I don't want to say rudely interrupted, but consistently interrupted by the gentleman at top right-hand corner, Mr. Higgs, Tennessee is more of a rivalry game than Ole Miss for Georgia. But how could you justify looking past a team that's more highly ranked and is more of a resume builder right now in Ole Miss than Tennessee? So your point's well taken, Jesse. All right, Sean, it's your turn to talk. Imagine that. Even if it's not your turn to talk, you talk. All right, Michigan and Penn State. Really good matchup here. Michigan, somewhere between 4.5 and 5, depending on where you look, as a road favorite here at Penn State. Unusual to see the Nittany Lions as a home underdog, but the line is justified. The total in this game is 44.5, which is rather low. And again, I think that's justified too with these two defenses. So, Sean, take it away.
Well, I do lean Michigan as a side here. Now, if this was a night game, I'd be like, all right, Penn State, white out, it would be hyped up home dog. I'm going to go under here, though, to 44.5. And we do see blowout scores across the board for both these teams, right? Michigan had to give up more than 7 points all season. They got a Purdue scored late last week for backdoor, whoever they played. I don't even know who they played. They got some backdoor cover with 10 seconds left, scoring double-digit points there. But we saw Penn State go to Ohio State. It was a 20-12 game. The one defensive team we saw Michigan play was Rutgers, right? So that was 31-7 low scoring. We saw Rutgers up 9-7, which goes to show the Ohio State defense pretty good, right? 3 field goals inside the 5-yard line for Rutgers there. So comparable team. I hate doing stuff like that because we don't really have – we have Michigan rolling over bad teams. Penn State's not a bad team. We know that from the Ohio State game. We know Rutgers isn't as bad as past Rutgers teams from what we saw out of the Ohio State game, even though big touchdown late or interception, close game. I'm just going to go under here. I think the defenses are for real. Offense against, again, better competition. I think it'll be a step back. I don't think one of these guys is scoring 30 points. I don't see that happening. Why not a 24-10 kind of affair? Maybe, even this could be 23-20 and still get me the under here. So I'm going to take the under 44.5.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see 21-17, 20-13 type of game. Jesse, I look at this matchup and I haven't made a decision if I'm going to use it or not. But the one thing that sticks out to me, both teams are great defensively. There's no arguing that point. I just think Michigan's offense is much better than Penn State. Now, that's going out on a limb, especially people are going to come out of the woodwork and just say, did you see what Penn State did last week at Maryland? Yeah, that's Maryland. Okay. when they went to Ohio State, they were only able to put up 12 points. I just don't know if Penn State could match Michigan offensively. And that's not to say I don't like Sean's pick on the under. I'm just saying that if it does go under, I could see Penn State scoring 14 points or less in this game, possibly.
Of the two, I'd prefer Sean's under, and if I make a move on this game, that'll probably be the direction I'd go. You said you don't know for sure. It's hard to know for sure about this game because we saw Penn State lose to Ohio State on the road, and when I look at that game, it was Marvin Harrison Jr. that stole that game. You take away Marvin Harrison Jr. from that game, and it's all of a sudden Penn State's right in there, albeit in a very low, very unimpressive fashion. Their defense didn't do too bad, aside from Marvin Harrison Jr. Offensively, they couldn't get anything going. It's tough to see them having much success against Michigan on offense, but Michigan doesn't have a Marvin Harrison Jr. They're going to try and run the ball down your throat. And with the strength of schedule problem for Michigan, they haven't really done it against anybody of this caliber yet, or so it would appear this season. I mean, they did roll into Ohio State and ran all over them last year, so there is that. But I prefer the total. I just think we haven't seen enough from either of these two teams to really know who they are exactly. I had one more thing I was going to say. The sign stealing thing. I guess you guys probably didn't want to even get into that, but I just think that everybody's known about that for so long. They talk about last year in the playoffs that TCU was aware and the dummies, and then that game wasn't decided by signs. That game was decided. It was a back and forth, high scoring game decided by execution. So I think the sign stealing, as far as a handicap, is a big nothing burger. Was all I wanted to say.
Based on how TCU racked up how many points they did against Michigan in that game, whoever was stealing the signs, he should be fired. It's like the analytics guys. We got into this discussion yesterday, and I don't want to get off track, Sean, but these NFL decisions on analytics on 4th and 2 and 4th and 3, regardless of where you are on the field. They always used to say in the old days, if you listen to the fans who always want to go for it on 4th down, right, you'll be sitting with them. Well, if you listen to all these analytics, you're going to be working with them. So please, come on. Anyway, Utah at Washington. Washington is minus 9.5 as we speak. I look at both of these teams' strength of schedule almost identically as strong. Here's the thing, and I'm a big proponent of looking at this facet when it comes to handicapping any NFL or college football game for that matter, but more so in college football. Washington's 6-0 in conference play, 9-0 overall. But let's just concentrate on their games against Pac-12 opponents. Even though they're 6-0, they're only plus 10.7 points per game. And they're also, their total yardage difference, they're only outgaining opponents in the Pac-12 by an average of 0.4 yards per game, which means opponents are racking up just as many total yards against Washington as Washington's high-powered offense is to them. All right. And then you look at Utah. They're 4-2 in conference play. They had one bad game against Oregon, and they fell behind early in that game. They had to abandon the run, and it's not their strength, their passing game. But they still, played fairly respectable against Oregon. They certainly did a lot better job defensively against Oregon than Washington did. And 4-2 in conference play, plus 6.3 points per game, but more importantly, plus 63.2 yards per game. Now, why do I mention all this? Because if I'm making a case for the underdog, as Jesse always likes to say, you're almost like a defense attorney, trying to come up with all these lines of proof or to make your case. When I see numbers like that, it really alerts me to the underdog. And the other thing, too, Utah's rushed for 249 yards or more in 3 of their last 4 games. Washington, over their last 4, when they faced Oregon, they allowed 203. And last week against USC, they allowed 204. So I think that the best remedy against Washington isn't to try to stop them defensively so much as trying to limit their possessions. And I'd be shocked if Utah's game plan here isn't tailored toward their strength, which is running the ball. And I think they'll have success in doing it. And then you look at Washington, their last two games defensively, guys. And I know USC is a fabulous offense. We know that. The enigma for USC is how many points and how many yards they give up per game. But, in their last two against USC and Stanford, they allowed 515 and 499 yards and a combined 75 points. Not so much against USC is not embarrassing, but when you give up 33 points and 499 yards to Stanford, that's alarming to me. And if you look at Washington over the last 4 games or so, they won at USC last week, 52-42. But, that was against a defense that hasn't been able to stop anybody all year long. Yeah, Utah's defense, much better than USC's. I think Utah could stay in this game. I'm not going to go out on a limb and call for the outright upset, although it wouldn't shock me. But I'm going to take Utah here, Sean, plus 9.5 against Washington.
I don't hate it based on the Washington defense. Plus, they're off a huge win.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I don't say franchise, but like a college, like that's a big win knocking off USC there. And now you're in first place. I also like the over here because what we've seen out of Utah, again, 55 points last week, 34-32 USC, 34-14 Cal. The Oregon game, that's like a blip. You're off the big USC last second win there, so it's a flat spot. Here comes Oregon, who's a pretty good team themselves with a defense. Like early Utah, not good offensively, right? They lost at Oregon State. They had some ugly games at home. I think they're finding themselves a little bit. And here again, you have a weak defense off a huge win. Why not an over 54.5 here? And again, you're almost getting 10 points to boot. Yeah. It's worth a shot for sure.
Yeah, Jesse, Sean brought up the 55 points. In the game that everybody expected them to win against Arizona State, nobody was shocked that they won, but
55?
I don't know too many people would have thought that they would have won 55 in that way, in that manner. Confidence builder, not a big game. This is a big game for them. As Sean alluded to, Washington coming. What's your thoughts?
Well, it's pretty simple, Ross. Washington beat Arizona State by a touchdown, and Utah scored 55 on Arizona State. So Utah's the play. Isn't that how we handicap games?
Yeah. If Team A beats Team B and Team B beats Team C, then Team A should beat Team C. Don't you know that? It's all oil money too, Jesse. Anyway, go ahead.
I hope Jay Rebel is in the chat on Friday for the live, if we do the live. But anyways,
by the way. Yeah, and you know what? He graduated. I don't want to go there. Go ahead.
No, Utah's been impressive. They're a tough out. Washington showed us that after a big win, they're due for a letdown. They had that after beating Oregon. They suffered that letdown again. I mean, they didn't lose, but they were in a game that they had no business being in. They should have blown out Arizona State. They couldn't do it. Obviously, Utah poses a much tougher challenge, bigger, physical, better defense, similar to Oregon, even though they're not as talented offensively. But Oregon took them toe for toe, right down to the wire. I think Utah is capable of doing the same thing.
Yep. And all right, our official picks. I'm taking Utah plus 9.5 at Washington. Sean Higgs likes the Michigan and Penn State game to go under the total of 44.5. Jesse Schule likes Ole Miss plus 11 at Georgia. All those games go on Saturday, folks, and they're spread out for you. 12 o'clock, 3:30, and 7 o'clock start. So if you're one of those people who likes to just concentrate on one game at a time, we just fit the bill for you. Anyway, Jesse, tell the folks a little bit about what's going on with Jesse Schule over at gamblersworld.net and anything you see coming up in the future they need to pay attention to.
All right. Well, 6-1 with NFL the last 2 Sundays. Doing pretty well with the NFL lately. College football still mired in a bit of a slump, but we're going to get back on track. I feel absolutely confident about that, especially when it comes to Alabama. I'm going to start betting more on Alabama because I don't know if you guys do this. I'm actually 100% with Alabama games this season. I was against them against Texas. I was on them in all their wins except for Arkansas when they didn't cover, and the low-profile games against Middle Tennessee and South Florida. I was not involved in those. But anyways, what else? Off to a winning start with college hoops, CFL playoffs, looking good there. Was a winner with my CFL play on Saturday. One of my few winners on Saturday. So, come see me and you'll be glad that you did.
That's Jesse Schule at gamblersworld.net. Don't forget, folks, you can invest in them a little longer term than just a daily pick. That would be the best way to assure yourself of having the most probability of making a profit. You could go 3-day for $99. You can go 7-day for $1.99 or $199, I should say, to be specific. And 30-day for $3.99. If Jesse doesn't make you a profit and doesn't win for you during that course of time, your account will be credited the exact amount that you paid for that specific package. Okay, Sean, same for you. What's going on, my man?
Well, we got 7 NFL for the week up right now, 6 college football. We have college hoops up for today, NBA. We'll see. We had a winner last night in NBA. We'll see what it has in store for us coming forward, that in hockey. But again, college and NFL have been good to me for the season. NBA is off to a hot start. College basketball, let's go. 2 days in, I'm excited for college basketball. So if you like daily action, you'll probably get something every day from me. Definitely some college hoops. Maybe there'll be a sprinkle of NBA or hockey in there as well. And, of course, college and NFL football. That's it. We only got 2 weeks left of football. Is that all we got left of college football, right?
Yeah, something like that. College football season goes so damn fast. It does.
Crazy.
And yes, Sean likes to play volume, folks. So if you invest in him, it would be a good investment. The only thing I'm going to tell you is that you need to exercise proper money management. And Sean will be the first to tell you that. He mentioned that early in the show. We grind it out here. You know what I mean? We don't base one bad week. We're not losing sleep over. It's over the long haul, and we all make you money over the long haul. My NFL, 26-17 since week 2. That's good for 61%. College football, 57-36, 61% since December 2nd of last year. NBA, since April 12th of last year, 43-26, 62%. College basketball, 26-17, just like the NFL. It's an identical record. That's since March the 10th, and that's good for 61%. Since August 4th, folks, in all sports, 133-92, that's good for 59%. All of those will make you a lot of money. I have not put out a college basketball pick yet. I've been very picky in terms of putting out, with no pun intended, putting out NBA this early, but you'll get plenty of that as the season progresses. So you can find me at gamblersworld.net. And for all three of us, we guarantee our picks, like I just mentioned, all single game, multi-game daily packages and subscription plans of 30 days or less. If you don't win, you don't make a profit, we will credit back your account, the exact amount that you paid for that specific package. All right, Shetzy, there is a like button right underneath. What do you want us to do with that?
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button, tap that like button, touch that like button, whatever you want to do, make sure you hit it. And that's just a small token of appreciation for all the work, time, and effort and research we put into this program to make it a quality one, and to make, more importantly, and this will always be first and foremost, beside the free picks and trying to win all these free picks for you. We want to make you a smarter sports bettor today than yesterday. Okay. So if you want to fast forward to the picks, our producer Seth does a great job of, in the description, telling you exactly where the time frame in which those picks are released, and you can fast forward. But if you want to learn something, you'll watch the whole podcast. For Sean Higgs and Jesse Schule and Ross Benjamin, take care and God bless, folks.